in a stepped pyramid called the Temple of the Inscriptions, so called because in the central entrance of the second room of the temple there are 620 inscriptions in the form of glyphs carved in the stone. The Temple of the Inscriptions is located in the ruins of Palenque, currently located in the Mexican state of Chiapas near the Usumacinta River, belonging to the Mayan culture. In 1949, Alberto Ruf, director of the excavations at this archaeological site, discovered here on the floor of the hall a slab that had 9 holes. These 9 holes were used to lift the slab by means of ropes, and therefore it was suggested that there must be something else underneath. When lifting the slab, there was a staircase covered with debris, which was finished clearing a few years later. In May 1952 they were able to reach a short corridor that ended in a stone wall. After clearing the wall they entered a bedroom that had stalactites hanging from the ceiling due to leaks of many years. On the floor there were 6 skeletons that were stained red, which corresponded to 6 sacrificed adolescents. These bodies, according to their characteristics, such as the cranial deformation and the inlays of the teeth, apparently had belonged to the nobility of the Mayan Empire. At the bottom of the chamber there was a triangular slab which they managed to remove on July 15, 1952. When removing the slab, they managed to enter a rectangular room, with a vaulted ceiling almost 7 meters high. There were 9 characters painted on the stucco of the wall who had been guarding for 1,600 years. The characters took care of a person who was resting under a 5-ton slab. This was a grave. Until that moment it was thought that the Mayan pyramids did not contain tombs unlike the Egyptian pyramids, but this pyramid did have a tomb. The heavy slab had some inscriptions in low relief that seemed to show information about the person who was below. The inscriptions showed the figure of a man surrounded by symbols. The figure had a curious shape since it seemed to be piloting a spacecraft or a vehicle. It also presented various details. The hands seemed to be handling instruments or controls. The head seemed to be resting on a stand and feet with a dynamic attitude. On his face he seemed to have an instrument for breathing or a communication system, such as a microphone. He also had an attentive gaze forward as if he were carefully directing this vehicle. On the bow of the spacecraft there was a representation of the Quetzal, or the solar bird that symbolizes the cosmos. The back of the ship symbolizes the solar mask that represents energy or force. It also seemed to let out a jet of flames as happens in a rocket. This tomb belonged to the Mayan ruler Kinich Janab Pakal, or Pakal the Great.